Good morning students, how are you? I hope you all well. Okay, today we see about a new lesson in zoology, environmental issues. Okay, so what is mean by environmental issues? Nowadays we face a lot of environmental issues, isn't it? Yes, a clean environment is a very necessary to live a peaceful and healthy life, but our environment is getting dirty day by day because of our negligence. Earth is currently facing a lot of environmental concerns like air pollution, water pollution and noise pollution, global warming, acid rain, biomagnification, eutrophication, deforestation, waste, ozone layer depletion and climate change, isn't it? Yes, so that only we face a lot of environmental issues. Ozone layer depletion. Over the last few decades, the expansion of our planet and degradations of our environment have gone up at an alarming rate, as our actions have not been in favor of protecting this planet. We have seen natural disasters striking us more often in the form of flash flood, tsunami and cyclones. In last week itself in Dhaka, the volcanic eruption under the sea, it causes a great damages in that city. It causes a tsunami in that city, isn't it? So that we only destroy our environment. Every individual should be environmentally aware regardless of whether they want environmental issues or not. Okay, next we see about the pollution. Pollution is any undesirable change in physical, chemical and biological characteristics of the environment due to the natural causes and human activities. The agent which cause pollutions are called the pollutant. The agent which cause the pollutions are called the pollutant. Pollution is classified according to the types of environment that is affected. They are mainly air, water and soil pollutions. The pollutions are classified into air, water and soil pollutions. Other pollutions are also there, that is the noise pollutions, etc. There so many pollutions are there. Next we see about the classification of pollutant. In terms of ecosystem, pollutants can be classified into two groups. One is non-degradable and another one is degradable. Pollutant is classified into two types. One is non-degradable and another one is degradable pollutant. Non-degradable means it can be easily break down the molecules. That is called as the non-degradable means it cannot be easily break down the molecules. That is called as the non-degradable pollutant. Degradable pollutant means it can be easily break down the molecules. That is called as the degradable pollutant. Based on the time taken to break down into their ingredients, this degradable pollutants is further classified into two types. They are rapidly degradable and the another one is slowly degradable pollutant. This degradable pollutant is otherwise known as the non-persistent pollutant. Rapidly degradable pollutant is otherwise known as the non-persistent pollutant. That means it can be easily broke down the molecules in a natural way. For example, domestic sewage and vegetable wastes. These are called as the rapidly degradable pollutant. The next one is slowly degradable pollutant. It is otherwise known as the persistent pollutant. These are pollutants that remain in the environment for many years in an unchanged condition and take decades or longer to degrade, as in the case of DDT. For example, plastic. If we throw a plastic in the public place, means it cannot be easily degradable. It take much longer time to degrade that plastic things. So that only our government announced don't use the plastic. To avoid the usage of plastic, instead of this plastic we want to use the paper things, isn't it? Yes. So this degradable pollutant is classified into two types. One is rapidly degradable and another one is slowly degradable. This rapidly degradable is otherwise known as the non-persistent and the slowly degradable otherwise known as the pollutant. Next we see the non-degradable pollutant. These cannot be created by natural processes. Once they are into the environment, they are difficult to be eliminated, continue to accumulate. For example, this is otherwise known as the biomagnification process. The toxic elements like lead, mercury, cadmium, chromium and nickel are such the common for the non-degradable pollutant. ஒரு வாட்டி வந்துச்சுன்னா இது வந்து திரும்ப அந்த பிளேஸை விட்டு போகாது. That is called as the non-degradable pollutant. Okay students, so the classification of pollutant is classified into two types. One is degradable and the another one is biodegradable pollutant. Based on the time of breaking down the ingredients, this degradable pollutant is classified into two types. What are they? One is rapidly degradable pollutant and the another one is slowly degradable pollutant. Okay, next we see about the biomagnification. Food chains are components of all ecosystem. Producers and consumers form the trophic level in the chain through which energy flow is carried out by the process of eating and being eating. We already seen in the previous lessons food chains and the producers, ecosystem, ecology, all the things we studied in the previous lessons. Like that, here the food chains are the components of all ecosystem. Every ecosystem contain one food chain. Here the producers and consumer form the trophic level in a chain through which energy flow is carried out by the process of eating and being eating. Producers eating that and consumers eating, that is called as the eating and being eating. Then usage, storage and transformation of food and biomolecules by metabolism are a normal processes. Degradations or breakdown is essential process of food and biomolecules by metabolisms are a normal process. Then degradations or breakdown is essential part of any food chain and hence all naturally occurring substances are degradable. So food chains are the components of all ecosystem. Here the producers and consumers form the trophic level in a chain through which energy is flows carried out from the being eating and eating. Then usage of storage and transformation of food and biomolecules by metabolism are a normal process. Here the degradation means breaking down of the ingredients. Okay, so degradations or breakdown is an essential part of any food chain and hence all naturally occurring substances are degradable. Next we see about the biomagnification of Ddt. When non-degradable substance enter the food chain, they do not get metabolized or broken down or expelled and instead get transferred up the trophic level of the food chain. During this process, they show an increase in concentration which is referred to as the biomagnification. This results in increased toxicity and may even may be lethal. What is meant by lethal? Lethal means death. Okay. This phenomenon is well established for the mercury and DDT. See the figure 12.4 biomagnification in the below level. First what we see water, then next one is producer, that is the phytoplankton, next zooplankton and small fishes are produced. Okay, so that here that level is 1000, then 10,000, then 100,000, like that it will be increased. Okay, so that here the schematically shows the biomagnifications of DDT in an aquatic food chain where the concentration of DDT is enhanced at the successive trophic level. Okay, then next we see about the eutrophication. Here when runoff from land containing the nutrients reaches water bodies like lakes, it results in the dense growth of plant life. This phenomenon is called as the eutrophication. When runoff from land containing nutrient, it reaches the water body. These nutrients reaches the water bodies like lakes. It results in dense growth of plant life. In lake, some plants are grows in that. That is called as the eutrophication. Here, the natural aging of lake also leads to nutrient enrichments of its water in a lake. The water is cold and clear. clear, that is called as the oligotrophic stage. The water in a cold and clear, that stage is called as the oligotrophic stage. Here supporting little life with time, streams draining into the lake introduce the nutrients such as nitrate and phosphate, which encourage these nutrients, this nitrate and phosphate encourages the growth of aquatic organism. Then the aquatic plants and animal life grow rapidly and organic remain begin to be deposited on the lake bottom, that is called as the mesotrophic stage. So that here first of all, what is meant by eutrophication? Here some nutrients that reaches the water bodies like lakes. In that lake a dense amount of plants will be growth, that is called as the eutrophication. Here the natural aging of lake also leads to nutrient enrichments of its water. In a lake the water is cold and clear. We already know that in that lake the water is cold and will be clear. In that stage, that is called as the oligotrophic stage, that is called as the supporting a little life. Then next, streams draining into the lake introduce some nutrients such as nitrate and phosphate. This nitrate and phosphate encourages the growth of aquatic organisms. Aquatic plants and aquatic animal life grows rapidly and organic remain begin to be deposited on the lake bottom. This stage is called as the mesotrophic stage. Then pollutant anthropogenic activities like effluents from the industries and homes can radically accelerate the aging processes. This phenomenon is known as the cultural or accelerated eutrophication. Pollutant from anthropogenic activities like effluents from the industries and homes can rapidly, that means that pollution that come from the industries and homes that can be rapidly accelerate the aging process. This phenomenon is known as the cultural or accelerated eutrophication. Then nutrients stimulate the growth of algae, water hyacinth in one kind of plants and can cause the clogging of canal, rivers and lake as well as displacing native plant. It causes unsightly foam and unpleasant odor and deprive the water of dissolved oxygen. These clogging of canals and rivers and lakes displacing native plants, it causes some unpleasant odors. What is meant by odor? Odor means smell. Okay, so that it produces some unpleasant smell and deprive the water of dissolved oxygen. Some dissolved oxygens will be deprived in that region. Okay, so this is called as the eutrophication. Eutrophication means some nutrients that reaches the water bodies like lakes. In that lake new plants will be growth, that plants will be dense. Okay, so this is called as the eutrophication. Then it consists of the two stages. What are they? Oligotrophic stage and the mesotrophic stage. In oligotrophic stage, the water is cold and will be clear. Then mesotrophic stage, some nutrients will be introduced, that is called as the nitrate and phosphate. This nitrates and phosphate encourage the growth of aquatic organisms and plants. Aquatic animals and aquatic plants will be grow rapidly. Okay, so this is called as the mesotropic stage. Then next we see about the pollutant that come from the anthropogenic activities. Anthropogenic activities means the pollution that come from the industries and homes that causes the aging process, accelerate the aging process. This phenomenon is called as the cultural or accelerated eutrophication. Okay, next, nutrients stimulate the growth of algae. This nutrient that stimulate it initiate the growth of algae and water hyacinth. This algae and water hyacinth can causes the clogging of canals and rivers and lakes as well as displacing native places. It produces the water some unpleasant smells and deprives the water of dissolved oxygen. So this is called as the eutrophication. Next we see about the integrated wastewater management. Integrated wastewater management. First we see about the wastewater management. Wastewater or sewage originate from the domestic wastewater, industrial waste and animal waste. Realizing the importance of clean, potable Wastewater or sewage originate from the domestic wastewater, industrial wastes and animal wastes. Realizing the importance of clean potable water, the government passed the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act in the year 1974, underlined that, which made it mandatory to treat the wastewater in treatment plants. The treatment can be carried out by the three ways, that is called as the physical method, chemical methods, biological method. In your book they given us primary treatment, secondary treatment and tertiary treatment. Okay, so this physical method, chemical method, biological method is otherwise known as the primary treatment, secondary treatment and tertiary treatment. First we see about the physical methods of wastewater treatment. It is otherwise known as the primary treatment. Wastewater containing the insoluble substances or colloids are treated through the process such as flotation, sedimentation, filtration and centrifugal separations. That is, the wastewater containing some insoluble substances or colloid. What is meant by colloid? Colloidal solution. Did you hear this word? In chemistry, true solution, colloidal solutions and soluble solution. Colloidal solution means if you take one beaker and pour some water and pour some powder, talcum powder, what happen? It cannot be mixed properly, so that solution is called as the colloidal solution. Okay, so that here the wastewater containing insoluble substances or colloids are treated through the process such as flotation, sedimentation, filtration and centrifugal separation. These methods are treated in that wastewater to clear that insoluble substances. Here the primary treatment involves the physical removal of solid and particulate organic and inorganic material from the sewage through filtration and sedimentation. That means the primary treatment is otherwise known as the physical method of wastewater treatment. That is the first and foremost treatment. Here we first remove the solid and particulate organic and inorganic material from that liquid by through the filtration and sedimentation process. Then floating the debris is removed by sequential filtration. Then the soil and small pebbles are removed by sedimentation. What is meant by sedimentation, filtration? எல்லாமே என்னதான் ஒரு வடிகட்டுற முறை. Okay, so that by using these two methods we remove that small particles, small soils and small pebbles. Okay, then next all solids that settle from the primary sludge and that supernatant forms that effluents. The effluent from the primary settling tank is taken for the secondary treatment. Now all the small particles and small pebbles are cleared by using the sedimentations and filtration process. Now this primary treatment or physical method is carried to the next stage, that is called as the chemical methods of wastewater treatment. It is otherwise known as the secondary treatment. It is otherwise known as the tertiary treatment. The chemical methods of wastewater treatment is otherwise known as the tertiary treatment. Here the chemical methods of wastewater treatment include the generation of insoluble solid, produce an insoluble gas, produce biologically degradable substances from a non-biodegradable substance, then oxidize or reduce to produce a non-objectionable substances. Here the treatment is the primary effluent is passed into a large aeration tank where it is constantly agitated mechanically and air is pumped into it. This allows the vigorous growth of useful aerobic microbe into the flock, that is masses of bacteria associated with the fungal filament to form the mesh-like structure. While growing these microbes consume the major part of the organic matter in the effluent. This significantly reduces the BOD. What is meant by BOD? Biochemical oxygen demand or biological oxygen demand. Underline that word. Here this biochemical oxygen demand refers to the amount of oxygen that would be consumed if all the organic matter in 1 liter of water were oxidized by the bacteria. The sewage water is treated till the BOD is reduced. Now the water is treated when the BOD get be reduced. Then the greater the BOD of wastewater, more is its polluting potential. Then once the BOD of sewage water is reduced significantly, the effluent is then passed into a settling tank where the bacterial flocks are allowed to the sediment. This sediment is called as the activated sludge. Now, a small part of this activated sludge is pumped back to the aeration tank to serve as the inoculum. The remaining major part of the sludge is pumped into the large tank that is called as the anaerobic sludge digesters. Here the bacteria which grow anaerobically digest the bacteria and the fungi in the sludge. During this digestion, bacteria produce a mixture of gases such as methane, hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide. These gases form the biogas and can be used as a source of energy. So that in this case, after the primary treatment, now that sewage water is taken into the secondary treatment, that is otherwise known as the chemical methods of wastewater treatment. Here the primary effluent is passed into a large aeration tank. Here it is constantly agitated mechanically and air is pumped into it. The vigorous growth of here the aerobic microbes are growth in that pump. Here while the growing, these microbes consume the major part of organic matter in the effluent. Now then it significantly reduces the biochemical oxygen demand. It is otherwise known as the biological oxygen demand. It refers to the amount of oxygen that would be consumed if all the organic matter in 1 liter of water were oxidized by the bacteria. That means BOD means the amount of oxygen that would be consumed by the organic matter in 1 liter of water were oxidized by the bacteria, that is called as the BOD. Now the sewage water is treated till the BOD is reduced, and the BOD amount reduce ஆகிற வரைக்கும் it can be treated. Okay. Then the greater the BOD of wastewater, more it is polluting potential. Once the BOD of sewage water is reduced significantly, the effluent, now the BOD is reduced, then that water is passed into the settling tank where the bacterial flocks are allowed to sediment. Then this sediment is called as the activated sludge. This sediment is called as the activated sludge. Now a small part of this sludge is pumped back into the aeration tank to serve as the inoculum. The remaining major part of the sludge is pumped into the large tank that is called as the anaerobic sludge digesters. Here the bacteria which grows anaerobically digest the bacteria and fungi in the sludge. Here in that anaerobic tank, some bacteria are produced. That bacteria digest the bacteria and fungi that produced in the sludge. During this digestion, bacteria produce a mixture of gases such as methane, hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide. These gases form the biogas and can be used as a source of energy. That gas is used as a source of energy. This is the secondary treatment or the chemical methods of wastewater. This treatment is called as the tertiary treatment. Secondary treatment, or otherwise known as the biological treatment. Next one is tertiary treatment. Here the tertiary treatment is the final processes that improve the quality of wastewater before it is reused. திரும்ப நம்ம அதை ரீயூஸ் பண்ணுறது, ரீசைக்கிள் பண்ணுறதுக்கு முன்னாடி அதோட குவாலிட்டியை செக் பண்ணுறது. திஸ் இஸ் த ஃபைனல் ப்ராசஸ். ஓகே. Recycled or released into the natural water bodies. This treatment removes the remaining inorganic compound and substances such as nitrogen and phosphorus. UV is an ideal disinfectant for wastewater since it does not alter the water quality except for inactivating the microorganism. UV is a chemical free process that can be completely replace the existing chlorination system, and also it is a chemical processes. This tertiary treatment is a chemical processes, so that UV is a chemical free process that can be completely replaces the existing chlorination system, and also inactivate the chlorine resistant microorganism like Cryptosporidium and Giardia. giardia. This treatment is called as the chemical treatment, chemical methods of wastewater treatment, and this is the final process to improve the quality of wastewater. So here the wastewater treatment consists of the three steps: the primary treatment, then secondary treatment, and the tertiary treatment. Primary treatment is called as the physical method of wastewater treatment, and the secondary treatment is called as the biological method, and the third one, that final process, is called as the tertiary treatment. It is otherwise known as the chemical methods of wastewater treatment. In the primary treatment, we use the two methods. What are they? Floating and sedimentation, to remove the small particles by using the floating and sedimentation process. Then the secondary treatment, that are otherwise known as the biological methods of wastewater treatment. Here some microbes are produced in the anaerobic tank. Some bacteria is produced. That bacteria digests some other bacteria in the sludge, other bacteria and fungi in the sludge. Then during this digestion, that bacteria produce some mixture of gases. What are the gases? Methane, hydrogen sulfide, and carbon dioxide. These gases form the biogas, and finally we use that biogas as a source of energy. Then the last and final process is called as the tertiary treatment. It is otherwise known as the chemical methods of wastewater treatment. Here in this final process, that improve the quality of wastewater before it is reused. Here this treatment removes the remaining inorganic compounds and substances such as nitrogen and phosphorus by using the UV radiation. Next we see about the case study. See the figure 12.7. That is the DVAT system at Aravoli and REZWT system at Aravind Eye Hospital. These are some wastewater management processes. Then next we see about the case study, that is Aravoli, located in South India near Puducherry, has been experimenting with natural wastewater recycling system. Such treatment plant have now also been implemented in Aravind Eye Hospital, Puducherry, and the Chennai Mathematical Institute, Siruseri IT Park, Chennai. In this area nowadays also we use the wastewater management. Okay student, then what we see in this class? In this class we see about the pollutants. What is meant by pollutants? What are the types of pollutants we see? Then what are the classifications of pollutant? The classification of pollutants is classified into two types. What are they? Pollution is classified into two types. What are they? Degradable pollutant and non-degradable pollutant. Degradable pollutant means it can be easily break down the ingredients, and non-degradable pollutant means it cannot be easily break down the molecules. Okay, break down the ingredients or break down the molecules. That is called as the non-degradable pollutant. Then based on the time to break down the ingredients, this degradable pollutant is further classified into two types. What are they? Slowly degradable pollutant and rapidly degradable pollutant. This slowly degradable pollutant is otherwise known as the persistent pollutant, and the rapidly degradable pollutant is otherwise known as the non-persistent pollutant. So that next we see about the non-degradable pollutant. For example, what are the examples for non-degradable pollutant? Some toxic elements like lead, mercury, cadmium, chromium, and nickel. These are the common examples for the non-degradable pollutant. Once it can be entered into the environment, means it is difficult to eliminate these chemicals from the environment. So it is called as the non-degradable pollutant. Next we see about the biomagnification. Next we see about the biomagnification. Here the food chains are the components of all ecosystem. We already know that. Here the producers and consumers are from the trophic level in a chain. It will be share some energy to the lower level to the higher level. Then biomagnification of Ddt. When the non-degradable substances enter the food chain, they do not get metabolized or broken down or expelled, and instead get transferred up the trophic level. What is meant by that means, in this non-degradable substances, it cannot break down the ingredients easily. Instead that of breakdown, it transferred that molecules into the trophic level of the food chain. During this process, they show an increase in concentration that is called as the biomagnification. Then you see the figure 12.4, that is the biomagnification picture. What is the lowest thing? Water. Then producers are produced. Producers means here some phytoplankton plants are produced, that is called as the producer. Then zooplankton, then small fishes are like that. The trophic level will be increases. Then next we see about the eutrophication. What is meant by eutrophication? Eutrophication means some nutrients that reaches the lakes. In that lake, some dense growth of plant will be produced, that is called as the eutrophication. Then it consists of the two stages. One is oligotrophic stage and another one is mesotrophic stage. In oligotrophic stage, the water is very cold and will be clear. That means it's supporting the little life. Little life means small organisms, that is called as the little life. Then the next stage is called as the mesotrophic stage. In this stage, some nutrients like nitrates and phosphates are introduced. Then these nutrients encourage the growth of aquatic organisms, that is called as the mesotrophic stage. Then some pollutant that come from the industries and homes, they can be radically accelerate the aging process. This phenomenon is known as the cultural or accelerated eutrophication. Here the nutrients stimulate the growth of initiate the growth of some small plants like algae and water hyacinth. This algae and water hyacinth can cause the clogging of canals, rivers and lake, as well as the displacing the native plant. It causes some foam in the water. Foam means nora. Okay, nora mari water la irukum. Then it produces some unpleasant smells in that water. Next we see about the integrated wastewater management, that is the wastewater treatment. Here this Wastewater Treatment Act was first published in 1974. Here it consists of three ways: physical method, chemical method and biological method. That is called as the primary treatment, secondary treatment and tertiary treatment. The primary treatment is called as the physical method, and the secondary treatment is called as the biological method, and the last treatment, that is the tertiary treatment, is called as the chemical method. Okay students, thank you. Today's homework is study all the one words in first 6 lessons. Okay, book back one words in first 6 lessons. Don't waste the time. Okay, thank you students.